Okay, and we have some guy, looks like he wants to become the very bestest in the world, like no one ever was, for skill.
All you have to do is visualize yourself in a highly skilled state. Okay? Basically, telecrecursion is a feedback between past and future. You need to envision the future. Envision yourself in a highly skilled state of existence, and then you configure yourself as a causal pathway connecting your present state to your highly skilled state in the future. And this induces a great big conspensive metacycle, which, if you do it right, will lead you along the causal pathway, just exactly the right one that you need to attain that state. Okay, but this takes mental discipline. You can't allow yourself to be distracted. I mean, this is what reality is built to do for us automatically. It's literally built to take our needs. When we feel our needs, it's built to actually satisfy them. All we have to do is let it satisfy them for us, okay? Bearing in mind, however, that sometimes letting it satisfy them for us means that we let it use us as the tools to do that, which means that we have to act in our own favor. For example, we can't just lie around and say, well, I'll just hope that the elite go away and that everything works out okay and that the parasitic divergence just doesn't happen. Reality will solve that problem for us, but we have to do something, okay? In other words, reality says, okay, I'm going to use you in these ways. You're going to have to, actually in this particular instance, you're going to have to politically involve yourself against the elite or this particular elite policy. In this instance over here, you're going to have to take up arms against the people who are trying to abuse you. And you have to be willing to do those things, right? Sometimes reality is going to require you to do things, to actually act physically in certain ways that you might not ordinarily want to do.
It's a very, very law of attraction, the secret that, the universe is really something that we are in communication with all the time. That's why things like visual imagery and meditation are really very useful.
Right. Well, yeah, right. And another thing, of course, that's required is practice.
Yeah.
I mean, reality is going to say, well, the quickest way for you to get from the present state to the skilled state is, you're going to have to figure out what the methodology is, what methods you use, what you're actually going to have to do to consider yourself skilled, and then you're going to have to practice those methods. Okay, so it takes discipline to get from one place to another, but reality helps you do it every step of the way if you only cooperate.
See? Right. The problem that a lot of what's going on, like in churches and propaganda, it's teaching people to be really passive observers instead of active observers in reality.
Right. They're basically just begging God for a certain outcome and then going and doing whatever they want to, watching TV, football, drinking a beer, and not actually participating in achieving that outcome. It's not the way it works. You got to participate. This is all about observer participation. We're supposed to participate in our own universe to our own benefit, and that's what we're expected to do, and we have to do it that way. Now, one thing that has been, the CIA has had programs on this. There are people out there that actually study paranormal phenomena. Some of you guys may be aware of this, some of you may not be, but this has been going on since at least the 1950s, okay? The intelligence community, the CIA, and other people have been very interested in paranormal phenomena in general, and they have come up with certain methodologies that can actually be used to help enable the kinds of things that I'm talking about. And a lot of the elite know exactly what these methods are. One of them involves, for example, you have an outcome that you imagine. You construct a series of steps, intermediate states that lead to that outcome, and then you imagine those states over and over again. And then you practice on compressing them and making them take less and less time until finally you can imagine the whole process at once, as though it is simultaneous. And this is exactly what you do when you create and actualize a teller. But they're asking you, basically they're saying, well, you should do this consciously. Now, it can't be done entirely consciously. Some people are going to be better at this than others because they convert their cognition, their terminal consciousness into non-terminal consciousness much more efficiently than other people. Some people are better at this kind of actualization than others. But they do have a certain amount of success with this idea of just thinking the same imagining that path that goes from point A to point B, and then choosing waypoints along that path, and then moving them all together until finally you get one big outcome that contains its own causal pathway. That's what a telon is. But a telon, of course, has metaphysical dynamics that the CIA does not understand. That's why the CIA was always interested in me, because I understand the actual dynamics and mechanics of how this works, whereas these people are just a bunch of idiots that experiment empirically and kind of luck into things every night. That's one of the things that they've experimented with, and you can do the same. Just remember, it all has to be done properly in the CTMU context, or it doesn't work.
It's a very big part of reality and a very big part of creating your positive teleological destiny. It takes action and thought and action hand in hand.